Hello, and welcome to Doris Golf Club. Oh, welcome everyone. So if you're joining me today, you clearly have been able to hear the very exciting new theme song that I have been able to add to today's episode and going forward. I'm so excited to be able to have that for today. I have been working on this for a while with a fantastic sound engineer. His name is Matt LaPlante. He works at Madtown Mix Studio. That is his sound engineering studio. He's incredible. The sound engineering that he has done for me is, and I had him do a couple different pieces. And so my main intro is going to be the one that you heard today, and you'll be able to hear the full mix that he did at the end of today's episode. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But the pieces that he mixed, and then there's another piece that's really cool too, and I'm not sure where I'll use it, but I'll definitely fit it in somewhere, maybe just some random episodes or maybe some, I don't know, video content that I'll do later of some golfing to maybe put on YouTube or something. I'm not sure. But you can probably tell that it is some mix of, or sound mixing, sound engineering from the music that I have already been using as my intro music, just updated in a really cool, amazing way. And it actually comes from the ballet called Coppelia. And if you know anything about me, if you have listened to any of these podcasts, you know that I love ballet. I grew up going to the ballet. I went to the Nutcracker every year with my mom. It was very special. I was able to leave school early each year when we would go. I got to dress up. Usually, one of my closest friends and I, and our moms, we would dress up and go. We would get to go to tea or a fun, fancy restaurant first, and then go to the Nutcracker every year. And ballet was just always, oh, I mean, what little girl doesn't love ballet? So I grew up loving ballet. I only took ballet classes actually when I got to high school for one of my birthdays. My mom got me ballet classes for during the summer, one summer. And so that was the first time I ever took ballet. And oh my goodness, it was so hard. It was so difficult. And so just over one summer, I took some ballet classes. And then recently, you probably know, at some point, I think I talked about taking adult ballet classes here in Madison. And with the Madison Ballet, they have fantastic school of ballet. And it's not just for children, adults can take classes too. And shout out to Caitlin. She teaches the adult ballet class, Adult 101 class. And oh, it is so fantastic. She is so wonderful. She's just so fantastic, so approachable, and it is so much fun to use your body in a brand new way and get these stretches. And oh my goodness, you're working these muscles that you're just like, I had no idea I even had muscles there. Anyway, I love ballet. I love going to the ballet. And for my birthday this year, we went to New York and saw this gorgeous prima ballerina, Skylar Brandt, in Swan Lake, which I have never seen before. And she was playing or starring in Swan Lake as Odette O'Deal. So both the White Swan and Black Swan. She was spectacular. Anyway, I love ballet. So the theme song here is a updated version of a little bit of music from the ballet called Coppelia. And I haven't seen this ballet, but the music is gorgeous. And from what I have read about the ballet and kind of the story, I think it resonates very well with me. And kind of the curiosity and a little bit of impishness and everything from the lead. So I really liked the music. Sent some clips from a very old version that's in the public domain. Sent that to this fantastic sound engineer here in Madison, and so he worked his magic, and this is the new theme song. So I hope you all like it. I love it. I've been listening to it, and it is so darn catchy. It is stuck in my head. And I just love that it's kind of this mix of like In a way, honestly, it almost reminds me of some of the, like, little bits of I don't know if you all grew up playing, like, the original Mario Brothers from, like, the original Nintendo. It kinda gives me those vibes, and so I had these wonderful memories of getting that, and, well, my brothers really got that for Christmas one year, and then I watched them play, and then playing myself, and then also, I love all these Korean shows, and some of the theme songs that they have that are just so light and happy and catchy and fun, but with, like, this wonderful beat and, I just absolutely adore this music. I hope you all do too. Anyway, so I'll play the full version at the end. And then, like I said, there's kind of more of a dark mix from some of the other music that he did for me as well, that I'll again incorporate into something else later. Ooh, I'm so thrilled. All right, on to golf. So, this last week, so basically one whole week ago, again, I know I'm late in getting this podcast out. I apologize. But last week, was the FM championship. It was being played in Boston. I was really rooting for Megan King. She's from Boston, and I was really hoping she would win. She did not. However, another wonderful player won, Miranda Wang. Miranda, she is our 24th different winner so far this year. So our streak is still alive this year. We have had 24 different winners, 23 different tournaments. As you know, we have one extra winner because we did have the Dow Championship where that was a team event. So we had two winners for that tournament. And so 24 winners, 23 tournaments so far. I do want to just note, I thought that was the longest streak that we have had so far in the LPGA. It's not, but it's close. So the longest streaks that we have had, I looked it up because I've been wanting to know. The longest streak is we have had 26 different winners. So we are getting really close. I'm really curious if that's actually going to be what happens this year. Are we going to match the streak this year? Are we going to break the streak? Let's all stay tuned. Everyone, this is really exciting. So 26 different winners in a row happened 3 different years, 1991, 2018, and 2022. That recent. I didn't realize that. I'm actually rooting for it to be broken. I know there's a lot of controversy about this. A lot of people don't like that there are so many different winners. They want kind of at least a core group of winners to be kind of rooting for. I think it's personally so exciting to be having all of these different winners. Makes it much more suspenseful. To me, I can see both sides. I absolutely can. I get it, especially for people who are new to golf. I understand the argument for wanting to have some consistency in who we are seeing in those kind of top leaderboards, but we are still seeing a lot of consistency in the top leaderboards or in the leaderboards. But it just so happens that our winners aren't repeat winners. So I think we're getting the best of both worlds, in my opinion. I really like the suspense. I'm enjoying that. And I'm a new person to the LPGA. I mean, it's just been, well, other than listening, to the men's podcast last year, it's been, I don't know, over a full year that I've been really consuming those podcasts, the Chipping Forecast, No Laying Up, and getting the little bit of women's golf that I had been, hearing from those podcasts, but really investing my time into women's golf. I mean, it's been, I don't know, maybe 6 months, and I've really been enjoying having the different winners and learning about them. So I like the suspense. Let me tell you a little bit more about Miranda Wang. So she's from China, but she actually went to Duke for college. And so she played at Duke. She has close relationships with a lot of women on the LPGA because they were playing in college tournaments together. And so she knows a lot of women. She's good friends with a lot of women who, again, played on their college teams. And in this final round of the FM championship, she was the last group to play because on the last day, she was in the leader position. And it was she, Miranda Wang, and Rose Zhang. They were the two that started that final day in the two leadership positions, which was really fun. You know, Rose Zhang, she's from the US. You'll remember she went to Stanford. She also was the one that I saw in the airport leaving Wales when I was there, and I hardly recognized her because she was dressed in civilian gear and I wasn't sure if it was her. Anyway, I love Rose Zhang, and I really liked that she was in that final round as the leader because she has struggled this year. She had I can't remember what injury. Maybe it was a neck injury that Rose had. And so I mean, she came out and she, along with Lottie Woad, and only one other woman ever in the history of the LPGA had won their very first tournament as soon as they turned professional, going from amateur player to professional player. Rose Zhang was one of those three in all of LPGA history. She won that, and that was a year or two ago. And then she hasn't, I don't think she's won anything else. And so everyone had very high hopes for her. And then she's had some injuries. She hasn't been playing it as much because I think she's still in school actually at Stanford. I don't know that she's graduated. And so people have kind of been a little bit disappointed. I think knowing her story a little bit more and knowing what's been going on, like that she has still been taking classes, um, has been focused on that, has been trying to really recover from some injuries. It makes a lot more sense. But then also I was just thrilled to see that Rose was in that final group with Miranda Wang. Also then learning that the two of them know each other and are good friends because they were, playing on their college teams together. While Rose was at Stanford and Miranda was at Duke, they knew each other. They were playing all these tournaments together and they're great friends. And so it was really lovely to hear that, Miranda had talked about how excited she was to be playing with Rose and how comfortable it made her feel. And so that was just really nice to hear. Okay, so Miranda and Gino Titicun, who was playing in the group right ahead of them, the two of them basically were battling it out that final day. And I was watching, and basically Gino and Miranda were just kind of back and forth, back and forth. They were either tied the entire day or like maybe Gino would be ahead by 1 point, and then she would have something happen, and then Miranda would be ahead by 1 point, but then she would maybe bogey, or maybe Gino would birdie. So it was just kind of going back and forth, or then they'd be tied. It was really intense and really fun to watch. And then I think that they were tied, and it came up, like I said, Gino was just one hole ahead, and Gino bogeyed the 17th hole. The 17th hole. And I think Miranda just continued to make par. I don't think she even birdied. And then on the 18th, Gino parred. And basically Gino had to birdie that hole in order for even a playoff to happen, and she didn't. And so that's how it ended up. So Miranda won, being, 1 point ahead. So Miranda won, Miranda Wang from China, but having gone to Duke, she's a Duke Daredevil. So she won the FM championship at 20 under. Gino Titicun, as you know, she's from Thailand. She is now our number one Rolex ranked woman in the world. She's our number one ranked woman. She came in second at 19 under. And then Se-young Kim from Korea, she came in third at 17 under. Andrea Lee from the US came in fourth at 16 under. And then tied for fifth, Rose Zhang and Jin Hee Im came in, tied for fifth at 15 under. Jin Hee Im, I'll just remind you, she is from Korea, and she and Somi Lee from Korea were the ones who had won together the Dow Championship. So that's why we have, again, that 24 winners with 23 tournaments. So that's how the FM championship ended. It was really fun, really exciting. Also, during the tournament, they did have Miranda's coach from Duke. While she had been playing there, they had her coach call in. And it was really sweet. He was so excited, so proud of her. And it was really fun to hear from him because he said she and Miranda seemed very calm throughout the last round, which is always interesting to see, how by the way, she's in her rookie season. Miranda Wang is. And so it's always interesting to see how a rookie is playing, someone who is, this is a first time win for her. And so to see how they're playing and watch and under such intense pressure, how they're doing. And she was staying very calm, doing really well. And so her coach called in. And so he was saying that, what you're seeing now that's Miranda. That's how she played. And how one of the things, she has such a great positive attitude and she has such a smooth, calm swing. Just really this great, smooth, calm swing. And that is what really attracted him to her when he was recruiting her to come play at Duke. And so that was really fun to hear from him, kind of to be on the lookout as we were watching her throughout the rest of the tournament, to really look at that in particular with Miranda, why she had been specifically recruited by that coach. And anyway, it was very, very cute. When she won, uh, it was lovely to see that because they're on the 18th green, of course, because Rose was with her. Rose had just finished. And again, Rose is from the US. However, like I said, they knew each other very well and still do. They're good friends, but had known each other playing during college. And so Rose had basically run off the green, grabbed champagne along with another player. I couldn't tell who it was. And so the two players, but Rose had run off and grabbed champagne and she was shaking it and running back on. And of course, they sprayed champagne all over Miranda. But what was really funny is because Rose was so rushed, she came and she was trying to pop the champagne. And I was watching and I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, no, you never try to pop the champagne towards someone. And it looked like she was about to pop her, poke her eye out with the champagne. Luckily, the cork did not, I don't think, hit Miranda's face, but it looked like basically the champagne sprayed directly, instantly into Miranda's face. And I wondered if she had a big bruise the next day. I don't know, but Miranda was like, oh my God, reaching up, covering her face, her eye, and I was like, oh my goodness. That could have been really disastrous. Anyway, remember, players out there, I know you're excited to celebrate with your friends, but when you are shaking the champagne and popping that cork, point it away from your friends. Do not point it toward their face. Word of warning. All right. It was a great final round. It was wonderful to see. Congratulations to Miranda. Also, here's another streak. So I said Miranda was a rookie. She is our 7th rookie to win this year. And that now ties a record. The last time that happened was 2009. We'll see. We have really great rookies that are winning this year. So we'll see if this year is another, and maybe another record will be broken. So that's another one to be on the lookout for. So we have if another rookie wins this year, we'll have a record broken. And if we get to 27 in a row different winners, that will break a record with the longest streak. 26 in a row will tie a streak. So those are things to watch out for. And just to have some idea, I know I've talked about just how wild this year is with that streak. But again, for some comparison, for some idea, just to remember, last year, 2024, just last year, Nelly Korda had won 7 times. So we had someone, Nelly, having won 7 tournaments. And this year we have not had one single person win twice. So that's just kind of what we're comparing here. It's really interesting. And by the way, Nelly hasn't won one tournament this year. She is not one of our, winners. It's kind of a wild year. All right, so what I'm going to talk about next is we have a crown countdown. I'm going to be starting segments every week that are going to be talking about our countdown to the international crown. That's right, the Hanwha Life Plus International Crown, which, as you all know, I have been talking about. This is that amazing team tournament in Korea at the end of October of this year. So I want to talk about today just some overall facts, basic information about how the tournament is played. This is going to start kind of the series, and then each week I'm going to be giving a little bit more information. We're going to talk about more of a deep dive into the women in each team so we can learn about them. I'm also going to be talking about, this is kind of the crossover, but the fashion about the uniforms that are being worn this year and some of the past uniforms. We're going to be learning a lot about this and some of the storylines, what to look for this year. Anyway, so to start for today, we're just going to get some basic information about this tournament, the history of it, where it's being played this year, and kind of the format of the tournament. So, okay, it is being played this year, October 23rd through 26th, so Thursday through Sunday, at the North Korea Country Club in Goyang. Kind of sounds like Goyangi. And I'm hoping, by the way, I can't believe I didn't mention this straight away. I don't know if this is picking up in the camera shot, but I don't have my Greta Goyangi with me because I'm recording in a different studio, but it might be picking up that I have my stand-in for her. If so, if you can see my little stand-in, the little stuffed animal Goyangi might be showing behind me. I'm also going to try to get some B-roll of Greta, doing cute things, probably sleeping, maybe rolling around, and try to put this in the video. This is another reason that you all really should just be tuning in on YouTube if you're not already. Evidently, this is the way that people are consuming podcasts these days. It's not the way that I consume podcasts, but a lot of people do. So if you ever do want to join through YouTube, you will be able to see the Greta Goyangi. And trust me, it will be worth it. All right, back to the International Crown. I got sidetracked because it is being held in Goyang, South Korea, which sounds like Goyangi. All right. So this golf course is only about 30 minutes outside of Central Seoul. So it's not that far out of Seoul, but it does look beautiful. I'm going to talk more about the golf course later in a future episode, but that's where it's being played and when. Now, I have talked about how there are teams of 4 players representing 7 countries and 1 world team. As a reminder, and I know a lot of this is kind of a recap, but as a reminder, there's 8 teams, and this is in order of the seed that they currently are, and this is from 1 to 8. We have USA, Japan, South Korea, Australia, Thailand, Sweden, the world team, and then China. So, like I said, we have 4 players in each team, and so that's 32 total players. Now, we talked about how the teams were chosen. So based on the combined Rolex Women's World Golf Rankings of that country's top 4 players, that's how the countries were chosen. And again, the countries were chosen based on those rankings of the women at the end of the KPMG Women's PGA Championship, which was held in Frisco this year, and that was held in June. So at the end of that tournament, where all the women were ranked in the world based on the Rolex rankings, that's how the teams, so the nations, that's how they were picked. So some years, for example, like England, the country of England has been a team. Some years, like Sweden has not been a team. Different teams, different countries have made it some years. Some countries haven't made it some years. And that's how it's determined and when each year. Then the players on each team are determined later. And so the 4 players on each team, that is determined by, again, their personal Rolex ranking. But that is, they wait until the end of the AIG Women's Open, which was held in Wales this year, as you all know. And that ended August 3rd. So after that, depending on where they all ranked with the Rolex World Rankings, then, so we already knew their countries. So for example, in the US, at the end of that AIG Women's Open, then, okay, we're going to see how everyone in the US is ranked, and the top 4 in the US, that's who gets put on the US team. So that's how it's all determined each year. Okay. Then this year is the first year that we have had this inclusion of a world team. It used to just be 8 different countries were chosen. This year is the first year we have 7 countries and then this one world team. And like I talked about, it does represent players from the Americas, Europe, and the Middle East, Asia, and then Africa, Oceania. And this, again, has been the reason that they decided to include this was because a lot of players, really good players, highly ranked players, were never able to participate ever in this event and probably wouldn't ever be able to participate in this event because their country was never going to have enough highly ranked players to participate as a country. So I think I had talked about like Lydia Ko from New Zealand. New Zealand does not have 4 women who rank highly enough to be able to be a New Zealand country participating in this event. Canada, Brooke Henderson, you know, she just recently won the Canadian Open, and she is such a good player and has been for many years. She very often will not be able to participate in this because to get 4 highly enough ranked women from Canada to make Canada itself a country that can participate in this event. That's not going to happen very often, if ever. And so this idea of just having 7 different countries and then this one world team where we take from these areas the highest ranked woman, and that comprises the world team, is pretty brilliant. I really like this idea. I think it's fantastic. So those are the teams. All right. Like I said, it takes place over 4 days, Thursday through Sunday. Here's the format, and here's how it's played. So rounds 1 through 3, which of course, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we have kind of a round robin of 4-ball match play in 2 different pools, and each team plays the others in its pool. Now, I had to look up a lot of things here. I couldn't remember exactly what 4-ball match play was. I couldn't remember exactly how that was scored. I was having a little bit of difficulty with this. It really helped me to go back and look at the rules, but also to think back to the Dow Championship. If you recall, talking about those fantastic teams where the women were paired, they had really fun team names, and they did kind of change from day to day exactly how things were scored and exactly how things were played. But to start, okay, yes, we have 4 women on the US team. But if you just think of, okay, 4 women, we're going to have a team of 2 women and a team of 2 women with the US, and say the US is playing Japan. Just say that. So 2 women from the US are playing 2 women from Japan. That's going to be happening. And then the other 2 women from the US are going to be playing the other 2 women from Japan. So that is the 4-ball. It's 2 women from the US, 2 women from Japan. And what makes it 4-ball match play is that all 4 women are playing their own ball. So it's not like where, for example, let's talk about the team with Megan Kang and Lexi Thompson, because that was a really fun team, Team Biggie Smalls. Because Lexi's tall and Megan is short. Okay. There was a day when, say, Lexi would tee off and then Megan would take that same ball and hit it and then wherever it landed, then Lexi would hit it, and then they would alternate with the same ball. That is not how this is being played. This is being played where, say, Lexi hits the ball, and then Megan hits her own ball, and they each hit their own ball and continue to do that. And then whichever one at the end has the better score, that's the score that they keep for Team Biggie Smalls. And whoever they're playing, it's the same thing. Those two women hit their own balls, and then whichever of those two women's scores at the end of that hole is better, that's the score that those two women keep. So thinking that way, then, so say Megan Kang's ball was better, her score was better on hole 1, and then say Rio Takeda from Japan, say her score is better between her and her partner, but say Megan Kang was better than Rio, then Team USA gets the point. So they won that hole. Okay. I don't know that I'm doing that great of a job explaining this, and it's probably best if you don't know the rule and you want to know more, just Google it. There are some good explanations, and it helps to kind of, I don't know, it helps me to see it. It helps me to read it. It helps me to have lots of different explanations. If you already know the rule, great. I will say, we've talked about the Ryder Cup for the men. I believe that this is how they play a lot of the Ryder Cup. I'm definitely going to be watching the Ryder Cup. You all should absolutely be watching the Ryder Cup as well. It's going to be intense. It's going to be dramatic. It is going to be fantastic. The Ryder Cup will give some really good kind of practice in seeing and then helping you kind of intuit what is happening in 4-ball match play. That's my recommendation. Okay, I think that's probably enough. If I haven't confused you already, great. If I keep going, I probably will confuse you and myself more. The point is, there's basically a round robin where everybody ends up playing everybody in this format of 4-ball match play. And that happens, and people are, I think, knocking each other out rounds 1 through 3. So the 2 top teams from each pool, they end up moving to Sunday's semifinals. Now, on Sunday, both the semifinals and the finals are played. And this is where we do have a slight change in the way things are played. And so we have 4 women on each team. And so in these semifinals and finals rounds, we have 2 of the women play this 4-ball match play with 2 of the women from the other team, the other country. And then the remaining 2 women play a singles match against the other 2 women from the other country. So you have 2 different singles matches going on and 1 4-ball match play event going on. And so the semifinals happen in the morning. Those 2 top teams then play for the final, for the winner and second place. And the 2 losing teams, the 2 losing countries, then will play against each other in the afternoon to see who comes in third. Okay, I can't wait. And then there's all these rules about like who ends up winning not only, each hole, but then the entire match. And basically you get, I think it's like a point, 1 point for winning the entire match. You get a half a point if you tie or draw. And then you get 0 points if you lose. And then basically that's, I think, the scoring. Okay, that's enough. Okay, so then, oh man, I need to just watch. I need to watch and learn, and that will help me a lot. The purse for the whole thing, it's $2 million total. Now, some history highlights. I thought this was fascinating. This is only going to be the 5th International Crown event. It's a biennial match play event, so every other year it gets played. The first edition was in 2014. That was played at Caves Valley Golf Club in Owings Mills, Maryland, which is a suburb of Baltimore. That had 8 teams, of course, and Spain won that year, and Sweden came in second place. Then in 2016, it was held at Merritt Club in Gurnee, Illinois, which is north of Chicago. That year in 2016, USA won and South Korea came in second. And, okay, so for example, neither Spain nor Sweden qualified that year, and China and England qualified. So you can see how different countries qualify or don't from year to year, which is really fascinating. 2018, the tournament was held at the Jack Nicklaus Golf Club, Korea, in Incheon, South Korea, which is also outside of Seoul. Koyang, I looked, it looks like it's kind of north, pretty much north of Seoul. I think Incheon is pretty much west, due west. And I have heard it recommended that that is really the airport that should be flown into, the better airport if you're trying to get into Seoul. Great travel tip. 2020, it was canceled because of COVID, but it was supposed to be held at the Centurion Club in St. Albans, England. 2022, the LPGA announced the return of the event for the 2023 season with a new name and title sponsor. And so this is when it became the Hanwha Life Plus International Crown. And in 2023, it was played in San Francisco. And that is when it was won by Thailand. Last time it was played, Thailand won, and Australia came in second place. All right. So it's, of course, again, the Hanwha Life Plus International Crown. As I said, it's being played in Koyang, South Korea. Here's why it matters, in my opinion. A few reasons. I think having match play tournaments is a ton of fun. Obviously, there are not many in golf, period. Golf is such an individual sport. It can be a very isolating sport, very isolated. And we don't often see the women getting to play together as part of a team. And, of course, you're competing against the other players when you are playing in a tournament, but you're really competing a lot against yourself and wanting to make sure, that you're playing very well, that you are doing the best that you can do. But it's an individual sport. And the Dow Championship this year, which was played in Michigan and is played every year, and is that team event. And like I talked about, there were team names that were so fun. The women were wearing matching clothes. Their press conferences were really fun. The smiles, the high fives, the fist pumps. It was a fun tournament to watch. It was fun. And they were able to have fun while still being really competitive. It was just a fantastic tournament. Like, it was a joy to watch. And I think that that's going to be how this tournament feels. Plus, you get this whole kind of like the Olympics, that sense of national pride. You're rooting for your country to win. You can also still root for particular players that you really like, but also you just like, I really want the US to win. And I love a lot of the Japanese players. I love a lot of the Korean players. I've already fallen in love with Miranda Wang. She's a Chinese player. Basically, everyone that I learn about, they're my new favorite. I have really enjoyed learning about every single player. There's something to find fascinating about them. But I want the US to win this event. I really want these women to get together, like come together, be this amazing team. I want them to win. I want them to have fantastic outfits. I want them to have fun, but to be intense. This is what happens when you have these team events and these national team events. It's fun. It brings your nation together. So I think it's important to have these kinds of things, just like the Olympics. Also, the reason that I think that this kind of international crown is very important. Of course, we have the Solheim Cup. And I was kind of cracking up. Was it the last episode that I was talking about the Solheim Cup? No, I think I said the Ryder Cup, as you know, is the men's version of the Solheim Cup, which I was cracking up because if you know golf at all, it's a very funny way of phrasing it. Although I think we should be phrasing it that way. The Ryder Cup is the men's version of the Solheim Cup. So I'll say, if you know anything about golf, the President's Cup is the men's version of the International Crown. But I also really enjoyed watching the President's Cup. The President's Cup was fun because, like the International Crown, it is a tournament for the men where all nations, I think it's all nations, but more than just Europe versus the US, other nations are involved in this team competition, particularly for women's golf, because we have so many players from so many nations who are so competitive. We do not have one nation, two nations, three nations, just a few nations where our talent is focused. I think the International Crown is even more, I don't want to say it's more important than the Solheim Cup. That is not what I'm saying. But I am saying that the International Crown is a really big deal and is really cool. And I hope continues for a very long time. And I'm so thrilled. I didn't know it was only around since 2014, but I love that it was created and I hope it exists for a very long time. And I love that they do have a title sponsor, and I hope Hanwha continues for a very long time. And I just think that, like I said, with the talent pool being so truly diverse with the LPGA and not concentrated in a few different countries, like it is more so with the PGA. It just really is. So it's not that way with the LPGA. So let's not, again, they're different things. That's fine. Let's embrace it. And I think the International Crown is really doing that. So that's why I think the International Crown matters. That's why I think it's going to be so fun. And especially with it being in Korea, I cannot wait. You all know, we've heard from other podcasts. We've heard, for example, from The Mixed Bag. Matthew, the caddy on there, has talked about traveling all over with different tournaments and how fun and different the fan base is in other countries, especially in Asia. Like it is, I think, going to be intense. I think this fan culture is really going to be unlike anything I've experienced ever in my life. I can't wait. I think, I don't know. I can't wait. I can't wait to report on it. I can't wait to just be right there and experiencing it. I can't wait to bring it to you all. I'm really excited. But overall, that's why I think this tournament really matters. And that's why I think this tournament is going to be so, so much fun. Okay, let me get organized again. I think I've covered all the background, the history, kind of the overview of what the tournament is like. A little bit of just interesting stuff that I want to tell you. This is bringing in just a little bit of my, personal likes, some recommendations. I always like to recommend some Korean shows that you all might like to watch. Some of these might be dubbed. I don't know if you like to watch dub shows, but this brings it all together. This is really about that synchronicity in life. Hanwha. Let me talk about Hanwha. This kind of stuff just amazes me. I haven't really known anything about Hanwha, except it's been popping up everywhere. Maybe I've just been noticing it because of the Hanwha Life Plus International Crown. In my Korean shows now, I have been noticing it right and left. Let me tell you about it. Let's learn about Hanwha a little bit, and then I'm going to make some remarks about some shows you might want to watch. I love this. Okay, the Hanwha Group. They're fascinating. They are this very large business conglomerate in South Korea. They were founded in 1952 as Korea Explosives Company. And so this group has grown, and I'm getting this from Wikipedia. This group has grown into a large multi-profile business conglomerate with diversified holdings stretching from explosives, their original business, to energy, materials, aerospace, finance, retail, and lifestyle services. So in 1992, the company adopted its abbreviation as its new name, Hanwha. This company, I'm telling you guys, this company is huge. You really do just need to go on Wikipedia, just search for Hanwha Group. And so it's spelled Hanwha, Hanwha Group. Just read it. Just search for it. Just look on Wikipedia, read it. Like, my mind was blown. I think it will blow your mind, like just how huge this group is. And like I told you, just some of the things that it's in everything. Like this group is huge. Okay. So and then some of the companies they've acquired, the sectors they're in, like it's wild. So like I said, it's not just defense and explosives, retail, insurance, finance, lifestyle, aerospace, shipbuilding, and marine engineering. But okay, like within like the energy and materials, they're in, of course, solar energy, wind energy, hydrogen, petrochemical production, on and on. Then they're like investing in different countries. They're putting different plants in different countries. They're working with different countries. They're doing all kinds of stuff. Like, so not even just huge business within South Korea, but like it just is like doing all kinds of stuff with the world. But I really, I really liked this. I've got to tell you about this. So I found this just right up my alley. You'll know why in just a second. Okay. When talking about their solar energy section, Wikipedia talked about how, in order to tackle the problem of stagnating bee populations, Hanwha has created a solar beehive that helps to protect and maintain a stable bee population. I love it. Okay, so then of course I had to look this up. And so I read this article that was published in some Korea news something. And they had a picture of these beehives. They are very cute, very cool looking. And so the solar beehive, which Hanwha installed as a pilot project at the Korea National University of Agriculture and Fisheries, is home to about 40,000 bees, helping to pollinate fruit trees used for training on campus and plants in the surrounding area. The growth and activity data of these bees will be used for research related to the bee population. Hanwha's solar beehive consists of a smart beehive that can regulate the bees' growing environment, as well as an external device that supplies and controls power to the hive. Power generated by solar modules installed on top of the hive monitors and controls temperature, humidity, water, and food levels within the hive. A smart system allows real-time management of data measured from the hive via an app. Furthermore, the system detects the presence of natural enemies, such as wasps, through sound measurement and analysis. When wasps approach, the solar beehive's entrance transforms into a narrow, bee-only passage, preventing the wasps from entering. Brilliant, brilliant. Oh, you guys, I love this stuff. I love that people in the world are working on these things. I love that there is this creativity and these people problem solving. The article went on about how by 2100, there's supposed to be like 11 billion people on this planet, and how with our declining bee population, how crops and growing food is actually going to be this huge problem, and how we really need to be protecting our bee population and helping it thrive. You know, we all know about this, right? I hope we do. If you don't, look it up. And this whole project is just so brilliant. And again, I really like that these things are happening in the world. And again, just look up this stuff, the little solar panels on top. I don't know that the solar panels were designed in the shape, of a honeycomb, but they kind of looked like it. And that really was very cute to me, at least the way I was visualizing it, the way I saw it. It was in the shape of a honeycomb, which I thought was just a very nice little touch. And the beehives themselves, like I said, were so cute. I just love it. Anyway, so yeah, Hanwha is involved in that too. Okay, Let me tell you how I have been seeing Hanwha come up so much recently. And this just goes into my last little bit that I want to talk to you about, which are some fun recommendations. You know, I am always going to give you some recommendations about TV shows, maybe primarily Korean shows. Bear with me. And by the way, if you have never tried one, life is short. Just try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch again, but you might really love it. And think about that. If you really love it and your mind is opened and you're like, oh my goodness, this is a whole new world that I had never thought about. And my life is richer and has more interesting color and ideas and things that I have never thought of, things I've never experienced, all because I just tried this Korean show that Doris recommended. Think about that. All right. So here's how Hanwha has been coming up. A few different shows. In Better Late Than Single, I think I've talked about this show. It's hilarious. Trust me. It is so funny. I have laughed and laughed and laughed. It's about these Korean single people, men and women, who truly have never had a relationship in their life. These are about 26 to 30-year-olds. And they have mentors. They work on whatever thing that they kind of need to work on. And then they are put together in this location and basically have to date for the first time ever. Very funny. But one of the singles, we learn, works at Hanwha as a defense researcher. And of course, I knew about the Hanwha Life Plus International Crown when I was watching this. And I was like, oh, Hanwha? I know all about Hanwha. And so, of course, they have, B-roll of him like walking into his company, going to work. And it's the sign, Hanwha. And I'm like, oh, I know all about Hanwha. I felt, very in the know. Anyway, so I'm like, oh, this is fascinating. Like, Hanwha's coming up. Then also amongst the singles, there was some discussion about the Hanwha Eagles. And like, are you a fan of the Hanwha Eagles? I like the Hanwha Eagles. Like, who are the Hanwha Eagles? Then on this show that I've started watching that a wonderful girlfriend of mine recommended, both of these are on Netflix. It is called Chef and My Fridge. You have to trust me on these because the explanation sometimes, trust me. If you all watched Culinary Class Wars, if you all like Top Chef, watch Culinary Class Wars. If you liked Culinary Class Wars, watch Chef and My Fridge. A lot of the chefs from Culinary Class Wars are on Chef and My Fridge, but they are so fun to watch on Chef and My Fridge because they are really like poking at each other, making fun of each other. They're much more lighthearted. Like a lot of the chefs that were taking themselves so seriously on Culinary Class Wars, you just get to see a totally different side of them on Chef and My Fridge. Anyway, watching Chef and My Fridge, where basically there are these chefs and these two hosts, and they bring on two celebrities, Korean celebrities, which now that I'm watching more Korean television, I actually recognize more of these people, which is really fun too. Okay, they bring on these two celebrities who bring their refrigerators onto the show. And then the chefs make food from that celebrity's refrigerator as a competition. And then the celebrity then decides which of the two dishes made by which chef is better. Anyway, trust me. Just trust me on this. Okay. So in Chef and My Fridge, there's been all this discussion then about the Hanwha Eagles again. And there was this whole beautiful kind of back and forth between a celebrity and one of the chefs. And the chef really loved this celebrity and was getting all shy. And then the celebrity realized, well, the chef really liked, do you like the Hanwha Eagles? And they were like, I do too. That's my favorite team. And back and forth. And it was so cute and all this discussion. And I'm like, Hanwha's everywhere. So then, of course, I had to look up the Hanwha Eagles. They are a South Korean professional baseball team. They were founded in 1985 as the Bingore? Anyway, as the Bingore Eagles, which was the then trademark of Hanwha's confectionery branch. I told you Hanwha is in everything. Okay, so, uh, but then, okay, Bingeray actually then separated later from Hanwha, and that was in 1993, and that's when it changed names to the Hanwha Eagles. But that is a professional baseball team, and they are very popular, evidently, because all of these people on all of these Korean shows that I watch, they are all talking about and bonding over the Hanwha Eagles. I'm telling you, I just have been seeing Hanwha right and left. Now that I know about them, I'm just seeing them everywhere. I don't know. I like what they're up to with these bees. I really want to learn more. I'm sure I'm going to be hearing about them even more, like with all of my Korean shows. But now you know about them, and you're going to be hearing about them because you're going to start watching some of these Korean shows too. And you're going to start hearing about Hanwha, and you'll know all about Hanwha. And then you'll know, oh, the Hanwha Eagles, I know all about them. They're a professional baseball team in Korea. They're very popular. And then you'll start fitting all these puzzle pieces together. Ah, isn't it fun when you just start learning more and more about the world and learn about this and you learn about that and then you start hearing things and then it's all coming together? I really like that kind of thing. All right, I think this has been long enough. I have so much more to cover. We're going to have lots more episodes. We have lots of time. Next week, I am going to be talking about the US team. That's our next episode for the countdown to the crown. And I'm going to do a deep dive about our US team. And I am going to also be focusing on the fashion for the team event for the US team. So we are going to be talking about what their fashion has been in the past. I'm going to try to learn what's going on with their designer this year, what the looks are going to be like. Hopefully, this stuff is out there and announced. I'm going to be doing some research. I'll let you know what I find, but that is going to be our focus of next week's episode. I'll let you know this week there is no tournament. Next week, they are going to, I think it's Cincinnati. I think it's a Kroger sponsored tournament. So, of course, I'll talk a little bit about that, just a little bit of a preview. But the main focus is going to be back to our countdown to the crown. And like I said, we're focusing on Team USA. Stay tuned for that next week. Feel free to keep in touch with me on Instagram at Doris Golf Club. My Gmail is dorisgolfclub@gmail.com. And until next time, bye.